So when I am using my walker, and the board decides to advertise for another president, one of the qualifications will be to be able to follow Janine after she. So Janine, thank you for sharing these great stories with us, and certainly our men and women in the military deserve our recognition as well as our admiration. And when we have them as students, they have so much they can contribute to the class and to what we can be. So we have a lot to learn from them. So thank you very much for what you've shared with us, and thank you for having shared your father with us to protect our country. I have a brief announcement, and actually, I think Chief just handed us a 10-page announcement to make about an activity that's going to happen, but you have to read that in the SD Direct someday. Today, I just want to share with you that there will be a law enforcement emergency exercise at the college on August 22nd from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. So watch for more announcement that should involve the sheriff's office, the different police departments in the county, fire, highway patrol. We feel that as an institution who needs to be protecting our people, participating in such activities should be good for us. So please be aware that's going to happen, and we'll share more with you in the weeks to come. I would like today to acknowledge our colleagues we recognized this morning for outstanding service to the college, and I would like to ask them to please stand so we can recognize them. Colleagues who were recognized, 20 of them, come on. That's one. Thank you for your service to the college. I would like to also recognize the arrival of new administrators, faculty members, and staff, and I would like to ask them to please stand so we can welcome them and recognize them. New faculty and staff, there's a lot of them, 15 new faculty. We had orientation this week, and when we had orientation, the room was packed. And I remember last year we scheduled orientation, but we had to cancel it because we didn't have any new person to orient, except maybe for the director of facilities. So we didn't want to do something just for him. So this year we were very happy to have had this opportunity to recognize them. I want to say thank you and acknowledge the hard work of the Academic Senate and the administrators who got together to approve the new positions, but also to the faculty and staff and administrators who spent so much time working on the search committees. I have to tell you, I am always at the end of the process and sitting down with a few of my colleagues to debate which one person we need to hire. Is really, it's exciting. It is also very hard work. So you take the work very seriously. So I want to say thank you to the faculty, staff, and administrators who participated in the search committees and who brought us all of those new colleagues that we have. I also want to say thank you to the HR staff, in particular Myra and Alexis and Shara and Dana, for ensuring that the processes go well. And so we want to say thank you to them, and let's recognize them, please. Last spring, we chose a Manager of the Year, and it is customary for us to recognize this person here. So I'd like to ask Dean Peter Kamish to please stand so we can recognize him. afraid this is the last time I'll embarrass you about this. Finally, I would like for us to recognize our Classified Employee of the Year, Mr. Richard Cross. Our full-time and part-time Faculty of the Year honorees will be recognized later in the program. And last but not least, I would like to recognize the board members who are present today. President of the board, Dr. Sarah Chapman. Honorable A. Murray Young. Honorable Rosemary Thurston. Honorable Monica Brown. Is there any other trustee who came in? No? Okay, so we have 3 on this side, 1 on that side, so we don't have quorum. So that's why we're... Dear colleagues, addressing you today is one of my most meaningful tasks as your president. I believe that all of you are entitled to know what your president has on his mind as we begin a new academic year. Throughout the year, you will receive weekly reports from me in my publication called the SP Direct, which is Superintendent Direct Communication to the faculty and staff. These SP Directs will keep you informed about what is going on at the college, as well as activities that I'm working on. Today, in this, my 5th annual fall address, I would like to concentrate on 4 topics that I believe will be of interest to you. Because there is no time available for questions and answers today, feel free to contact me with questions anytime. The spring address will feature mostly questions and answers. Today's topics are how reading The World is Flat by Thomas Friedman has affected my view of education, how we must work together to remove accreditation sanctions, my continued reflections on the ideal college, and SCC's current enrollment picture. So I will start with The World is Flat. Thomas Friedman's The World is Flat has profoundly influenced my thinking about education. What Friedman means by a flat world is that technology and globalization together have transformed our traditional notions of hierarchy, top-down, bottom-up thinking about economics and social relations. He argues that we are creating an increasingly economic level playing field as we develop technologies increasingly accessible to all across the globe. These leveling events have broken down traditional social class barriers and have created unprecedented opportunities for an individual to collaborate, not just with the person next to him or her, but with the person who is thousands of miles away from him or her. Friedman states, and I quote, "People all over the world started waking up and realizing that they have more power than ever to go global as individuals. They needed more than ever to think of themselves as individuals competing against other individuals all over the planet. As a result, every person must and can ask, where do I, as an individual, fit into the global competition and opportunities of the day, and how can I, on my own, collaborate with others globally?" End of quote. According to Friedman, this global individualism has created not only an enlargement of the middle class, but a flattening of the middle class as well. As a consequence of the flattened global economy, Friedman argues that class consciousness itself is diminishing and access to technology is becoming a great equalizer. In effect, were we all to become members of a global middle class, there would be really no class at all. I believe that this transformation represents significant human progress. However, while class consciousness may be diminishing, this is not true of racial consciousness. A condition that many believe is on the rise and believe is a condition that breeds the violence that now stalks the world as daily grim news. On this point, allow me to share with you the thinking of another scholar, Ivan Hannaford, who suggested in 1994 a radical way to address the problem of racism in our lives. He wrote, and I quote, "The Greeks referred to those who lived outside the realm of public or political life as idioti. In our unthinking acceptance of the idea of race, we in the modern age may be guilty of a kind of collective idiocy. Genuine political life, not to mention a genuine solution to our racial problems, becomes impossible when a society allows race or ethnicity to displace citizenship as our badge of identity." End of quote. We need to recognize then that in addition to technology, one's citizenship is the other great equalizer in the flat world. We must be colorblind, but even more so, we must be race blind. We must regard one another essentially as citizens, as a status which seems to be the ultimate equalizer. There is no such thing as a second-class citizen. There is no such thing as a separate female citizen, a separate black citizen, a separate Muslim citizen. A citizen is a human being whose value transcends racial and ethnic gender categories, one whose value lies in his or her sense of equal responsibility for the common good. We must see each of our Solano Community College students in this citizenship light. As first academically successful, productive, and responsible members of our college, and equally as productive and responsible members of our public, each individual being focused on the common good. I say, let us not allow any Trayvon Martin profile mentality to get in the way of the civic consciousness. Au contraire, let us get involved in our diverse ethnic communities to mine a deeper meaning to the Trayvon Martin tragedy that may liberate us from our perpetual idiocy. But while we keep one eye on the civic prize that I have just presented, we still must keep our other eye on the actual demographics of our state and our community. As the state demographics are coming into focus, we will experience fairly soon a Hispanic majority, not only in the state of California, but many other states in the nation. Yet today, the success of our Hispanic students is disturbingly low in academic achievement, nor does their access to education reflect the current demographics of the community or the public schools. Other groups also lag educational behind at SCC. For example, African American students have the lowest retention rates, and male students are underrepresented by approximately 10% at SCC. We invite you to study our recently updated student equity plan that Dean Lewis will soon be sending to all of you for comments. The point is that at SCC, we have a large number of citizens whose educational achievement is meager. This simply makes no sense. Makes no sense. Our charge then at SCC is to work to raise the educational status of these significant numbers of underperforming students who continually experience failure, racism, gender discrimination, and other forms of exclusion. Their numbers are large, but their academic successes are often small. No longer can we afford to ignore their plight. We are obligated to raise their consciousness such that they see themselves as students who are equal in human value to each and every other student at this college. We must replace student failure with acceptance and honor each student who is at this college. If we treat our students as genuine citizens, then no doubt our students will be more confident in seeing themselves as responsible citizens, as equal members in the classroom, their communities, and the world. That is a crucial implication of a flat world. In short, we need to work to flatten SCC. In addition to those students who are already enrolled at our college, we must work to recruit those who do not see themselves as worthy of enrolling at Solano Community College. And believe me, there are many of them in our community. Here are a few examples of what we and you are doing well in this regard. We have Professors Jen Berger and Melissa Reeves, who work constantly with ESL students in the adult schools in Solano County. There is also the type of work that Jonathan Shotton is doing in reaching out to high schools in Vacaville and Dixon, the work that Jim DeClos and Ed Ray do with the high schools for biotech, as well as the work that our coaches do with the high schools, and also work that Saki Cabrera does with elementary schools and much more. It is good to also note the work done by Julie Martinez in the Hispanic community, as well as the work that Karen McCord does in the African American community. But the fact is that all of us should be reaching out to those students who are not raised in an environment where education is valued. I want to thank those of you who are already engaged in SCC's recruitment effort, and I invite the rest of you to please join them. We have in place many student support mechanisms, as an example, financial aid, counseling, tutoring, admissions, that can make or break the aspiring student. In addition to the formal student services SCC offers, I know that many of you have provided additional student support. For example, Lene Jaimes sent me a communication about a student who waited for about 3 years to enter the nursing program, only to be told by a former staff member in the financial aid office that she could no longer receive financial aid. Her dream of becoming an RN was crushed. She had given up. Had it not been for Lene's timely intervention, the student would not have entered our college this fall. My point is that all of us must be prepared to do what we can to ensure that students' academic and support needs are met and not compromised. We must see all of our students as equal citizens, where education is their right, politically and ethnically. We must provide and demand what is necessary for excellence in education, as a nation at risk suggested 30 years ago in 1983, and I quote, "Excellence characterizes a school or college that sets high expectations and goals for all learners, then tries in every way possible to help students reach the excellence, reach them." We do not believe that a public commitment to excellence and educational reform must be made at the expense of a strong public commitment to equitable treatment of our diverse population, said the report. The twin goals of equity and high-quality schooling have profound and practical meaning for our economy and society, and we cannot permit one to yield to the other, either in principle or in practice. End of quote. We must treat all students with honor and respect, and insist that they too treat us in the same fashion. After all, we are in the business of transforming lives. The second point is on accreditation. No matter how much we dedicate ourselves to educating our students, their SCC education will not be recognized as worthy unless SCC is accredited without any sanctions. First of all, I want to thank the faculty and the staff who routinely do everything that they can to ensure that we are accredited. And the same is true for the Board of Trustees. I commend those of you who perform your professional duties very seriously. You attend to your SLOs without someone having to breathe down your neck. You do the task with integrity and are mindful of quality. SLO work is not just another box to check off. You respect and meet necessary deadlines, including the timely submission of grades. And your work is always quality work. I know of this because I have seen your SLOs. And your reputation among students and the public is pristine. You work collaboratively and professionally with your colleagues, and you focus on educating students. You are not distracted by the daily gossips or rumors that neither advance nor support learning. Inevitably, you will find yourselves embroiled in politics as part of higher education, but you know you are about something much larger. You are dedicated to the cause of education and to the success of students. But for all the good work we do, there is much work some of us have neglected. And as you know, we remain on warning sections. Believe me, SCC cannot afford to remain on any section because there is a 2-year limit to clear all sections. If any of you are complacent about SCCJC's authority, think carefully about the plight of our sister college, City College of San Francisco. CCSF is the second college in California that may be stripped of its accreditation. The other one was Compton College. Having chaired a team last spring at a college in the Central Valley, I can tell you that SCCJC is adamant about maintaining standards, and they do mean business. Any rumors that are circulating around that SCCJC rulings won't stick are sadly mistaken. We could be where San Francisco City College is, as we're already on shortcuts. Let us redouble our efforts to not let that happen to us again. For those of you who have questions, suggestions, and contributions to the SCC's follow-up report due in October, you may contact Dr. D'Ambrosio, who's serving as our SCC's accreditation coordinator. Part 3 of my remarks is the ideal college. You may recall that in my fall semester address last year, I centered on pursuing the ideal college. Allow me today to review and elaborate on that theme. Last year, I envisioned that the ideal college has 3 specific characteristics. A college ever focused on education itself as a worthy enterprise consisting of 3 basic ends. The reforming or reshaping of individuals such that each might realize the best that is in her or him. Each student is entitled to this education. An education that is grounded in subject matter knowledge, where it is understood that all knowledge has reform in mind and constantly seeks to perfect society. The view that learning is something that is not put into students, but is instead drawn out of students. This process is not so much student-centered as it is knowledge-centered. The second theme is a college wherein all educators are willing to embrace the concept of education as presented above. And these educators will be grounded in their disciplines or their specialties and are ever perfecting their craft. Conscious of the value of education in a democracy wherein the educator has the responsibility to develop enlightened citizens. Our democracy depends on this condition, as Thomas Jefferson proclaimed. Conscious of the arduous task of educating students who may not be sufficiently aware of the aforementioned ends of education. Consummate educational professionals, motivated by a deep sense of responsibility for the perfection of their respective work as it contributes to the well-being of the whole. All educators mutually support one another with dignity and respect. Individuals who act on principle and not selfish interest. Educators who have the highest expectations of all students. They demand that each student perform his or her work to the highest standards of literacy and scholarship. Educators who are conscious of their civility. Last year, I shared with you that we have had far too many instances involving bullying, threats, and humiliation. In particular, too many inflammatory electronic missives had created an atmosphere unbecoming to a community of professional educators, an atmosphere unworthy of the ideal college. Perhaps we can practice the decorum of the United States Senate instead of the decorum of the British House of Commons. Remember, sorry, Peter. Remember, we now have a code of ethics in place as part of our accreditation recommendations. Furthermore, we must be willing to serve as role models for the civil conduct of our students, to include habits of speech and dress. Here, I urge all of us, from students on down, to formulate linguistic and aesthetic standards that match the true character of academic life. The third ideal characteristic is that educators have a wise understanding of the just allocation of resources necessary for the realization of true education. Such educators will be diligent in institutional planning, and we want all of you to participate in the education and facilities master planning. We will continue to plan with an eye ever focused on accreditation standards that we must satisfy, and we want our planning to reflect our collaboration. We will continue to negotiate with integrity with the Solano College Faculty Association, Local 39, and CSEA. I'm well aware of last semester's faculty union struggle to reconstitute itself. As your president, I admire your efforts to stay unified and to present a strong faculty union presence. We will spend more time working to improve SCC's administrative leadership group, as we have embarked on leadership development for this particular unit. We will further develop relationships with the Academic Senate. In terms of fiscal matters, we will continue to provide budgetary access to all employee groups that have an interest in the college's finances. We will continue to pursue additional measures that will not only bring more revenue to the college, but will include initiatives that will enrich and enhance our college's integrity overall. In this regard, you will notice the solar farms that are being constructed at all sites. And those solar farms are bringing us a saving of $600,000, and that's part of the reason why we could afford to hire more faculty and more staff. We are about to launch the Corporate College, to name only a few of our current projects. We will continue to pursue opportunities in high-end aviation training that could make our aviation program an international icon. We will continue to sharpen the focus of our $348 million Measure Q project to perfect our college. We have many, many good projects in the works. And finally, I want to address SCC enrollment picture. Today, I have focused on our strengths, but I cannot ignore our fears and what we might call the elephant in the room. As most of you know, we have had to cancel many classes at SCC recently. Furthermore, SCC did not make its FTS target this past year, despite recruiting and marketing efforts. We were funded for 8,500 FTS, and we had achieved only 7,003 FTS during the 2012-2013 academic year. Excluding summer school, SCC was short 1,538 FTEs. Although not completed, summer looks to have generated just under 7,000 FTEs, and that will help us for the current year. So what does this really mean? SCC receives approximately $4,500 per FTEs. A loss of 1,500 FTEs would equate to a loss of approximately $6 million. A loss of 800 FTEs would equate to a loss of approximately $3.2 million. If this trend is sustained and we are rebenched to a lower FTS target, the impact will be severe. But don't panic yet. The state allows us 3 years to remedy our enrollment issues before the cuts will actually occur. However, why don't we make a commitment to grow our full-time equivalent students to 10,000 and our headcount to 15,000? That would reclassify us to a medium college status. My challenge to the Academic Senate, to the faculty, to the classified staff, to the deans and the research office, is for all of us to work together to make this enrollment surge happen. Admittedly, it will take the combined approach of new and improved programs, more stable enrollments, greater retention, more efficient scheduling, and bold and effective marketing of the college to get us this robust enrollment. But I believe it can be done, and it must be done. You must know, too, that we are not alone in this enrollment decline. This enrollment trend is currently being observed across the state and the nation. In fact, the California community college system as a whole lost approximately 400,000 students last year. College enrollment fell 2% in 2012 and 2013, the first significant decline since the 1990s. But nearly all of that drop hit for-profit and community colleges. We know that the college-age population is dropping after more than a decade of sharp growth, and many adults who opted out of a forbidding job market and went back to school during the recession have been drawn back to work by the economic recovery. We are examining what we believe are a variety of factors influencing this downturn in enrollment trend, and as I wrote in the recent SP Direct, I welcome all of your ideas to address the shift in our numbers. In the meantime, your SCC administration will reach out to all constituent representatives to develop a strategic enrollment management plan for our college. As we develop a solid plan, we will resist the quick fixes that we know will not sustain our enrollment. Know that our ultimate focus should not be on the greatest number of FTE as possible, but on the educational opportunities we can provide for all. No doubt, a timely and thoughtful response to this changing landscape will be the key to our future success. In conclusion, I hope I have given you today much to think about. Number one, let us remember to treat all students equally and help them to see their civic responsibility. Number two, let us work together to remove all SCCJC sanctions. Number three, let us continue to progress toward making SCC the ideal college. And number four, let us collectively work in our communities to ensure that our citizens are well aware of their many opportunities to earn an education at Solano Community College. As always, I pledge to keep you informed about our college through the SP Direct. Please contact me if you have questions and or suggestions for improving SCC. Have a wonderful academic year, and thank you.